This is part 3 of the Athol 644.5 Swivel Jaw, Swivel Base, Vise Rebuild series. If you haven't seen part 2, click the link at the top of the screen. In this video, we're going to remove the pin that is holding the swivel jaw in place. Hello everyone, I'm Jeff and welcome to my shop. We got a lot to cover, so let's get to it. Here we are with the swivel jaw, and we had soaked it with PB Blaster and reapplied it several times for several days. And now we're going to hit it with some heat again and attempt to remove this pin. And I'm really just trying to heat up the area around the pin. I don't want to heat up the pin. Like I said in the previous video, the steel for the pin is kind of soft, so it's going to continue to deform, and heating it up would have only accelerated that. So we again try the wrench on it, adjustable wrench, and hitting that with a mallet. That does not get us anywhere. So then we've got a cheater bar now, and we try that, and that also does not get us anywhere. So at this point, I've got one option, which is to drill out this pin. So here I'm just going to try to find the center of the pin as best as I can. And we don't have to be exact, but we want to get it as close as possible. And I stress here that I am not a machinist, so this is kind of trial and error for me. But I'm reasonably confident that we can get a replacement pin or fabricate a pin. So sacrificing this original pin is the only way to get it out at this point that I can think of. So we're just going to center punch that. And then we're going to take it over to the drill press. So I'm going to start with a really small, well, somewhat small bit. And we will drill through the pin, all the way through the pin. So the hole that's on the underside of where this pin is about 3/8 of an inch. And like I said in the previous video, it's definitely threaded. So I think we're dealing with a 3/8 and something thread. Not sure what yet. But we can drill all the way through this and not damage the threads, because this bit is smaller than that, and we're relative center. And then we're going to gradually increase the drill bit size. So this, and I'm sorry, I didn't write down the sizes of the bits, and I don't recall what they were, but we're still under 3/8 even with this bit. So we can go all the way through. And if we start chewing into the cast iron, we'll see a difference in the kind of chips that are being produced. So we moved up again in size. This is much closer to 3/8. And here is when I see that the threaded portion of the pin is now poking through the bottom. There you can see it. So it must have separated from the pin itself, and so we're going to move over to the workbench and we're going to attempt to remove that threaded portion. And it's a real tight area to get to. And just having to get at it. And be able to film it is, as you can imagine, pretty difficult. But there it is. And that portion is roughly a 1/2 inch long. So now we're going to attempt to remove the pin itself. And again, we're trying vice grips and heat and PB blaster. None of this is really working. So we're going to end up having to drill the pin out even further. And to do that, I'm going to go ahead and face the top part of the pin. So we're going to cut away that portion that we can grab onto with the wrench, and then we're going to try to file it relatively smooth. This will keep the bit from binding up and grabbing, because we're going to go with a bit that's pretty close to the outside diameter of the pin. And here we are with that bit. Well, I think that's a 1/2 inch bit. I don't recall exactly. And you can see there that we're not dead center, but we're close enough. And what I did was I set the stop on the drill press to account for the threaded section that's below. We know that threaded section is roughly a 1/2 inch long. So now we're just going to try to grab onto it with a pair of vice grips and deform it a little bit, and there we go. So that's what's left of the taper pin, and it is in fact a taper pin. And whatever size the bottom of that taper is, it necks down and then goes into that 3/8 by whatever thread. So here we can remove the swivel jaw now. We just need to turn it 180 degrees and then kind of lift up on it. Or at least that's what I think is how we're going to remove it. I've never actually worked on one, so I don't know. But that's what makes the most sense. And sure enough, that is the way that that swivel jaw is going to come off of there. There it is. There's a little flat that lines up with a flat on the inside of the opening. Bunch of grease and grime in there. So we'll clean up all this stuff with some Q-tips and brushes and whatnot. And then we're going to soak it again in the Members Mark degreaser, along with that set pin or set screw. And I let that stuff soak for, I don't know, about 5 days. And here we are coming back and scrubbing it with a wire brush, seeing if we broke up most of that grease. There's the swivel jaw. There's just, man, this grease, I tell you what. It's everywhere and it's super sticky. Good grease, whatever the heck it was, because it really difficult to get off of there. So now we're just going to rinse these parts off and scrub them with the wire brush again. Clean them up a little bit more. There's a lot of little nooks and crannies that that's got grease in them. It's hard to get to. Here I've just got some bottle brushes that I'm using to clean some of these bores. And we've got a little bit of grease on the bottom we need to get off of there. We may as well clean that bore while we're here. Alright, so we'll take this over to the bench. We're going to get some better measurements of the openings for the taper pin. And then I'm going to do an exhaustive search, starting with McMaster Carr, to see if there's something that's going to work for us here, and then if not, then we're going to have to fabricate. And I've never, well, I've done a taper once on my lathe, so yeah, that's going to be interesting. All right, so we're going to go ahead and soak all of this stuff in some citric acid, and that's going to de-rust. So I use this tablespoon scoop, and I usually use about 1 tablespoon per gallon of water. We're going to be putting about 8 gallons in here, so we'll get 8 scoops in there. Then we'll fill that up with some regular tap water. Kind of mix up that citric acid, get it to dissolve. And as you can tell, it's pouring down rain. We'll clamp that hose and then start adding the various parts. So once we've got all the parts inside this bath, we're going to let them soak for at least 24 hours, maybe a little longer. I haven't decided yet. And then we'll pull everything out, rinse it off, and dry it off. And that'll be in the next video. So we've got our work ahead of us. One, we've got to find a replacement pin or fabricate a pin. Two, after we've pulled everything out of this bath and cleaned it and dried it off, we're going to be wire willing everything. And then we're probably going to do another Sipple green soak, and that's rinse and dry. Then we've got to do priming and painting. So we've still got quite a bit to go. But that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe. As always, I appreciate the support, and I will see you next time.